Welcome, craft beer friends, to Season 7, Episode 26. Yes, the last episode in Season 7 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Lewis, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man, also known as Drinking Eagle from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How are you doing tonight, Chris? And of course, what is in your glass?
So this evening, Denny, I'm doing really good. Mike Allen said, "Evening, gents. Good evening to you too, sir." I'm doing really good. Just a little on the tired side, but hey, such is life. And in my glass tonight, I'm actually drinking a New Belgium 1985 IPA. Yeah, and the glare on the can is absolutely glorious. Look at all of it, and it's glary splendor. Not really over the moon on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna do to kind of segue us into our tasting notes beer.
It's a gateway. It's a gateway. We don't want to flood our palate with too much stuff, so we want something, a little bit lighter. So.
Yeah, Amanda Argauer said 1985 best year, hands down. I would disagree. 1982 was the answer we were looking for, but feel free to play again.
Boy, such young ones. That's okay. That's okay.
Well, Denny, what about you? How are you doing today, and what's in your glass this evening?
I am fantastic. You know what? I am getting off of a week out of work. What? I didn't go anywhere special. Didn't vacation anywhere. I just stayed at home and spent some time with my grandson and my wife. Drank lots of beer. Fought technical issues with my network and internet. And that was a little bit frustrating because it's not. I'm just glad I didn't have to work that week because I wouldn't be able to connect. I'd have to go somewhere to get internet to work. So it was kind of a pain in the ass.
Would you actually have to go into the office to do that, or would they not let you?
No, they're starting to let us back in. In fact, I was in the office today. So we're spending more time there, but I still, for the most part, spend my mornings in the at home doing video conferences, and then I usually go on site to the customer site in the afternoon. That's how I've been doing it for the last year. Works out pretty good. But yeah, I'm doing well because I'm refreshed. It's 102 degrees out there, but I'm back in my air-conditioned house.
But it's a dry heat.
It's yeah, we do get some that gets up to 50% humidity and back down. It does.
My house is at 50% humidity.
Yeah. So it is a dry heat, but it can get a little bit muggy, and we do have a lot of smoke from the fires that are going on in California right now. Bringing all California and Nevada area, bringing all that smoke into our area. So it is a little bit, it's got like a 151 smoke rating or whatever, like breathing. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's bad.
It sounds bad. If you're rating smoke, that's got to be a bad thing.
Yeah, but I have a funny story. It was funny because after we recorded 2 weeks ago, again, we were in a hot streak. We almost broke our record since 1867 or whatever of 10 days straight at over 100, but we missed it. We missed it because it dipped down to 99 one day and went back up to 100. So it's just like, come on, man. We almost had that record.
If that's not a kick in the ass, I don't know what is.
Yeah, but I mentioned that I could handle this heat because I got a nice, cool air conditioning. It doesn't matter when it's outside because it's cool inside. And then that night after we recorded, my damn air conditioning broke. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. After I said that on air, now I have no air conditioning. And this thing's only 3 years old, so it shouldn't be breaking. No. But Chris, with a little help from you, give me some pointers, and then doing some of my own troubleshooting, I was able to repair it myself later that night on Tuesday.
Awesome.
And it turned out that the capacitor blew or went out, which is something that's common, I guess. It happens in these things. And luckily, at my local electrical store had a capacitor of the size I needed, and I was able to, after work, come back home and repair it. And by 7 p.m., I had my air conditioning working again. It was 100 and something outside, 104 outside, and it had gotten up to like 88 inside all day, the heat beating in. But that's not too bad, about 20 degree difference.
Oh yeah, awful.
And it took till about midnight before the house cooled down to like mid 70s.
Mm.
But I'm just glad because I called Tuesday morning, like at 6 in the morning. I called our furnace guy and said, "Hey, we've lost our AC. When can you guys come?" Well, we got the special service, and the special service, they can come on Friday.
Mm.
It's the hottest week of the year, and I'm not going to go a whole week without air conditioning. So I need to fix it myself. And it turns out they sent an email out saying that that 1 week that they had on Friday, they sent the email out. They said this week we've had 6,400 calls for no AC, just this
Wow.
one AC place. So, um, yeah. So if you need any help with the AC, just let me know. I might be able to point you in the right direction.
So
But
look,
I'm not certified.
yeah,
Or
I'm not certified as an HVAC technician.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Interestingly enough, I'm actually not going through an AC problem. Knock on wood right now. We're having an issue right now with, gosh, this is serious first world problems, guys.
Mhm.
Our ice maker is not making ice fast enough.
Wow. Wow.
And
You
the
guys go through a lot of
refrigerator.
ice, a lot of margarita mix or something going
Well,
on.
no, the margarita's already pre-mixed. It's already in the fridge. You just put ice in the glass and pour the mix over it.
Okay.
But it's really it's one of those things where I'm going, okay, I know that this should be doing this and it should be doing that, and you can get into the computer of the refrigerator and do
Oh,
diagnostic tests on the actual ice maker, and
wait.
it'll tell you
Your
what.
fridge has a computer in it?
Hey,
What
it
kind
was
of
cute.
fridge you got?
It's a Frigidaire gallery. It's a
Oh, it's a gallery.
Yeah, it's a
Nice.
double door freezer in the bottom kind of thing. And the thermistor, you can read the temperature off the thermistor from this diagnostic test. And guess what? I hopped on Facebook and found appliance repair groups, and I think I've got a solution in hand. And
Okay.
I think I'm just going to replace the ice maker, which is a $50 part online, and
There you go.
take the old one out, put the new one in. If not, and it's just how the ice maker works, I'm just going to get one of those countertop ice makers.
Wow, you guys go through a lot of ice. I don't use any ice.
Well, I mean, we fill. I didn't used to either, but now every time I go to work, I'm carrying a 32-ounce insulated cup and I'm filling it with ice for the
Mm,
day. And
yeah.
I do that. Megan does that.
Yeah.
Tina
Yeah.
does that.
Everyone does
Right?
that.
Yeah. So we all do it.
Yeah.
So then when we go to get ice later, well, it just can't keep up. So
Yeah. I take it back. I do use ice. Every week we record, I fill my little cooler up with ice, put the beers in, so I have a
hmm
nice,
I usually use an
nice.
ice pack for that, but it's buried somewhere in our freezer outside with all of Cajun's food in it.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I am drinking a beer, and again, because we're gonna have a tasting notes right after we get the show going, I don't want to have anything too heavy. Uh, Firestone Walker's 805
Mm.
Golden Ale. I love this beer, and I buy quite a bit of it during the summertime because it's very refreshing, easy drinking. It's not heavy. It goes down, as you can see, very quickly. And it's a great beer. I know, Chris, you guys can't get Firestone Walker out in Tampa, but everywhere else that can get it, this is a fantastic beer. Now, this isn't the cerveza with lime one. This is the regular old fashioned one. So I haven't had the one with lime. I'm sure it's good too, but this is the one I prefer, the regular
Yeah.
one.
Now I'm messing with stuff too because I saw that you showed your can, and I
Hmm.
wonder if I can now. Nope, still getting super glare on it. I'm tilting my light up just to see if I can. We're
Yeah,
we're,
yeah.
we're
First
still
world
learning.
problems.
182 episodes later, we're still learning.
Well, we're only doing the live video stuff within the last 20 or so, right?
Okay, 182 episodes later, we're still learning.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, while you're fixing your light, let's get the show started. Before we get too far in, I always like to explain to any of our new listeners out there what Tap the Craft podcast is all about. We are an educational podcast focused around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listeners, along in your craft beer journeys and adventures. Whew, it's a lot to say right there in one little breath, but
Especially when I'm getting all nice and close to the camera.
yeah, you're looking sexy there. All right. And you're listening to episode 182. This is the final episode in season 7. That's 7 complete years of releasing a show every 2 weeks. We're recording on Monday, July 12th, 2021. And in this episode, we will be discussing Belgian Triple Ales. Now, we've talked about Belgian Ales in very early shows, but we kind of grouped them into Abbey style ales, Trappist ales, and Belgian ales in two-part series, which is one of our that two-part series is one of our most popular episodes. I guess a lot of people like Belgian ales, so we're going to talk about Belgian triple ales. We're going to focus mainly on the history and the style characteristics, and even some brewing notes. If you're a home brewer and you want to get some insight on maybe trying to brew your own Belgian triple, you know what? We've got that in this episode as well. Everything to do with Belgian triple ales, as well as some tasting notes from a couple beers sent to us by our great listener, William Schlimmer. As well as you already know, Chris and I can carry on some great conversation that you'll get along the way.
Well, Eric Gronley says, cheers to 7 years. And he said, sounds like a great topic tonight and more tasting notes. Glad you brought those back. Now, I have one of the triples in my cooler here. What was the other one?
The other one is the Cold Feet.
I almost grabbed that one, but I didn't. It's in my fridge. I just got to go get it whenever you're ready.
So you have the triple from... Yeah. That's okay. Well, why don't you go get it, and I will talk about this beer.
Okay.
And I'll just keep the show going because we're live. All right, so we're going to get this show started off with some tasting notes, and this is a beer, and if you're watching the video, you can see it's Cold Feet from Company Brewing out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And this is part 4. This is part of their Weird Turn Pro series, and this is volume 4. And it's a double dry hopped hazy IPA with Galaxy, Eldorado, and Azaka hops. The ABV is 8%, and it's got 35 IBUs. And Chris is still not back. So I'll just go ahead and continue on. I'm going to crack this thing open and not spill it all over my keyboard. I'm going to pour this into one of our IPA B cups, and I can see it's definitely got some haze to it. Looks like pineapple juice coming out of this thing.
Is
not
it time?
The ugliest.
It's time to pour now?
Yeah. I was trying to hold off, but I guess I talked too fast.
Don't talk too fast. Everybody just thinks slow.
Ooh, this one's got some interesting nose character. But before we get to that, so as you can see, it's got a nice golden, hazy coloring to it. It's definitely hazy. The head is just a little bit off-white, not quite pure white, just a little bit off.
Stand this back up.
It's got some very dense bubbles in the head.
Mm-hmm. They're very, very tiny with a couple of...
Yeah, very tiny. A couple coarse ones in there, but it's a really tiny head. It's going to leave a good beer mustache when we drink it. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Got yourself... Okay, take a sniff. It's got some...
It's like some tropical...
It's got... Yeah, it's
guava.
It's like, yeah, guava. It's got tropical guava... ripe guava fruit smell. A little bit of citrusness
in there.
A little bit in there.
Citrousness.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it doesn't smell like pineapple juice. So it looks like pineapple juice, but doesn't smell like it.
Okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I can see what you mean by the pineapple juice. It's well.
Let's take a drink. Wow. I have to say again, this beer surprises me because it definitely does not taste like every other hazy IPA or double IPA I've had. It's got a unique flavor.
I'm very thankful for, because that's I feel like that's what we were running into a lot. So this Cold Feet.
Cold Feet. Oh yeah, did I show the? I think I did show the can, but yeah, I'll show it again too.
You probably did.
Cold Company Brewing, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
It still blows my mind, Denny, when you and I can hold up the same beer.
That really was awesome of William to send us these beers. We really do appreciate it. Thank you, William. Because it's enjoyable. I mean, if we didn't have these unique beers to drink, we would be drinking things like 1985 from New
New
Belgium,
Belgium.
right?
And you know what? With this one, I do get kind of some pineapple with this one.
Yeah. There's a little bit of pineapple. There's a bitterness that comes in at the finish as well. That kind of lingers around like a pithy bitterness.
Yeah. You know what? The more I'm smelling it, the more it's starting to smell like pineapple juice too. And I don't know if you just got in my head with that or what, but
I'm not smelling like strong pineapple juice, but it might be. It's definitely a tropical, exotic tropical fruit smell. Not your typical fruit punch, but like tropical fruits.
And there's just, I don't know if that's hop bitterness or if it's a little spicy at the end. Not heat, but like spice.
I'm going to say, for me, I just think the bitterness is coming through in the bitterness comes like late in the finish. It's not like right there at the beginning. It hangs around your tongue and gives you that bitterness feeling on the back of your tongue. And so
but it's a quick flash. This one's clocking in at 35 IBUs, so not really on the bitter side. 8%. And this is this is volume 4 in their Weird Turn Pro Hazy IPA series.
It's a good beer, and we already mentioned it. I like this beer because it's unique, and it's not like every other hazy out there, which I can really appreciate. And I guess it's the combination of these three hops. I do enjoy Galaxy and Eldorado, and I've been getting more and more of these Azaka hop beers as well.
Yeah, I've been seeing and noticed that I've been drinking a lot more of them myself.
All right, what do you think overall? Is this
overall, I mean, I would gladly drink more of this beer. Overall, this would probably get like a 4.25 from me if I was to rate it on Untappd. Well, when I go to rate it on Untappd, that's probably what I'm going to rate it.
I think you're right. I was going to say it was definitely going to be a 4, and I'm still trying to pinpoint if I want to go higher than 4, or stick with. I'm going to stick with 4. This is a 4 for me, but it's good beer. I definitely like this. This is definitely one I'd come back to and drink. This is one that I wouldn't mind having more in my fridge. Right? Sometimes you have some of these hazy IPAs that you drink one and you're like, okay, that was good, but you know what? I just don't want to drink this more than once. This one isn't over the top where there's for one thing, no hop burn. Again, I raise the bar when there's no hop burn. If it's got hop burn, it's going down. And the bitterness is there, but again, it just only comes out at the finish and the back of your tongue, and it's nice to have that feeling. It's not too soft. It's not just overly soft, but not too sweet.
Yeah,
it's got a good
exactly. There's
feel.
A very good balance of all of those things. It's not no hop burn. It's not just full blast of bitterness all over your palate, and then it's going to be a little bit more of the. It's not super soft and fluffy, but it's not super hoppy where all you get is that bitter. You definitely get that very good balance of the fruit flavors out of the hops, but you still get some bitterness in there. This works out really good.
Yeah, I like it. It's a keeper. All right, well, that's it. That's our beer tasting notes. We got a big show ahead, so we don't want to spend too much time. But hey, I think we gave it enough. Enough discussion to say if you can find Company Brewing Cold Feet, it's worth it. It's worth a shot. Drink it. Good beer. Yeah. All right. Chris and I, we want to thank all of our Patreon supporters out there. This episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, William Schlimmer, and Amanda and Kevin Argauer, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Tara Carlson, Chadla Massa, Mark Church, Matt Knight, and Kirk Tabor, who want to buy us a virtual beer. If you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even being a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. And Chris, you noticed I added a couple new names to the list.
You did. I saw that we got an email. Was it yesterday or the day before? With Kevin and Amanda, and then
and I have you know what? While we're talking about this, let me just talk about not only do we get the email saying we have new Patreon supporters with Kevin and Amanda, but then Amanda wrote this feedback or this message on Patreon as well, and I got a kick out of it. And anyone who's been listening for a while knows that my voice has a soothingness to it that can sometimes cause drowsiness. So Amanda wrote on Patreon, wish I would have caught up on episodes sooner. I could have sponsored earlier, but happy to do so now. I owe you one, Denny, because I heard about this sponsoring opportunity when I was driving my Murphy's her dog, around in the car during the fireworks. He was panicked. And guess what calming sound we used in the car to help him relax? You guessed it, your voice on the latest Tap the Craft episode. Cheers.
The smooth sounds of Denny.
So I'm not only known to soothe babies to sleep,
Man and beast.
Man and beast, I can soothe the sleep. So thank you, Amanda and Kevin, for your support and for that great message and story. We really appreciate that. And guess what? We also had a voicemail. Yes, it's been months since we had a voicemail, but somebody answered the call, and that was Mr. Matt Knight. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and cue up the voicemail and let our listeners hear what Matt has to say.
Sure do. Let me open this up so we hit the right buttons, and here we go.
Hey, guys. Matt Knight here. I'm just calling because I was inspired by your guys' on-air beer tasting you did in the last couple. So I just want to try to do one real quick of the Trip Hammer Beer Works Atomic Blizzard IPA. First off, Trip Hammer Beer Works is out of Fairport, New York, here outside of Rochester. And this is a ale brewed with cherries and jalapenos, already popped open the can. And that little nice, not cloudy, but a nice, not a hazy, but it's a little cloudy on color with a good head here. Smell, you can smell the jalapeno, a little sweetness, and you actually smell a little bit of hoppiness, but not much, mostly a jalapeno smell. So let's see what we got.
I love this over phone beer tasting. At
first.
That's so awesome.
Not really strong, just a little bit. Definitely taste the jalapeno. It's got a jalapeno bite. It's not hot, but it's got that nice little bite. And you get a little subdued sweetness coming from the cherries underneath. It's good. It's different. It's really different. I've never had anything like this. I've had a lot of jalapeno beers, but I don't know. It's really good. It's different. I'm curious to see what it does when it warms up. So I'd probably give about 3.5 out of 5 taps. So anyhow, enjoy the show, guys. Denny, Chris, cheers.
Cheers, Matt. Well,
cheers,
thank you, Matt. That was a very nice tasting segment. We appreciate you taking the time to give us a little review on this beer that really intrigues me. I'm not a big pepper beer kind of guy, but I do appreciate, some of the beers as long as I have them in small doses, because a lot of times that stuff can come back up on you if you have too much. For one thing, I love the name Atomic Blizzard IPA. And I don't think I've ever heard of a jalapeno beer mixing it with cherries.
No.
And I like the idea of having like a cherry, the cherry sweetness, tartness with that jalapeno, little bit of a heat. That intrigues me enough to even possibly want to try this beer. But I don't think I could drink a 16-ounce can of it. I think I'd have to stick with like a taster would be my thing. What about you, Chris? Does this intrigue you?
It does intrigue me, and it's intriguing me more on the food side. I'm sitting here going, okay, cherries and jalapenos. Yeah, I could totally see how these would work in beer, but I also think about like make barbecue sauce out of it.
Oh,
Not the actual beer, but just taking cherries and jalapenos and making barbecue sauce out of that. Just the combination, you know, the sweet, the super sweet, and a little bit of tart from the cherries, and then the heat from the jalapenos. Man, that could make some good ribs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had jalapeno and peaches salsa. I've had jalapeno and mango salsa. I've had different fruits that really work well with the heat. I've never had cherries, but now I kind of want to try, hot cherries.
Yeah, I would definitely go for that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. We do appreciate your voicemail. And if you want to be like Matt and leave us a voicemail, you can do that so easy. Just pick up that phone and call 208-536-3359. Or if you can't remember numbers, don't worry. We got an easier one for you. 208-53-ODDLY for us two oddly looking, handsome, oddly handsome looking.
There you go.
Dudes right here.
Yeah.
And we would love to hear whatever, if you have a question, if you want to do a beer tasting, if you want to do tell us about some of your craft beer journey, whatever you want to do, just leave us that message. We'd love to hear it and share it with our listeners.
Yeah.
And if you don't like to talk, you just want to write it out, you can do that too. You can contact the show through your with your questions and comments through email at taptocraft@gmail.com. Or if you prefer social media, we have an account on Twitter and Instagram. It's at taptocraft. And of course, Chris loves chatting back and forth with you on Facebook. And even I'm on there sometimes at facebook.com/taptocraft. If you want to find more out about how to contact us or find out more about the show, visit our webpage at Taptocraft Podcast or at taptocraft.com. We have a very own webpage.
We practiced that so long and we just screwed it up.
It's okay. It's okay. All right, Chris, let's continue the conversation because now it's time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
So I'm scrolling through the last 24 hours. Mike Allen's been doing a little bit of drinking. He's checking out some beers at the Taco Mac in Lawrenceville. As he wrote in one of his check-ins, nothing remarkable, but a good solid IPA about the Gate City Odd Juice. But he's checking into a little bit of this, a little bit of that. One he's got in here was Dr. Juice by Parish Brewing Company out of Louisiana. Somewhat unique lightness in the flavor profile, almost gives us gives a sense that floats off of your tongue. 3 3/4 caps on that one. He wrote since SINCE.
Yeah,
But
it was autocorrect, I'm sure.
Sure. And then he also had Stoned Fruits Wheat Ale by Sycamore Brewing. Man, Mike, I know I've talked to you about this before, I think, but the Taco Mac has got the hell of a tap list. Unique on the nose and palate, almost bubblegum-like, very enjoyable. Mike Allen says, "Hey, I was drinking." You know what? That's fair, and I apologize because you were drinking. You're drinking like a champ. Yeah, Stoned Fruits Wheat Ale. I must be drinking because I'm reading the wrong stuff. Stoned Fruits Wheat Ale by Sycamore Brewing. It's got that breakfast cereal comfort thing going on. I love it. 4.5 caps for that check-in. Spelling doesn't count when you're drinking, buddy. Yes, I know. I agree with you.
It doesn't count on anything that I write. So
no.
Expect to have it all
sober
checked.
Or not. Okay. Kevin Page is drinking a base lager by Tactical Brewing Company. 4 1/4 caps, writes simply, it's lagerific. Moving on up the list, and we've got David Martin drinking a watermelon dragon fruit burst by Wicked Weed Brewing. He's checking this out at Atlantic Beach, and he says, works good as a beach beer. 4 cap rating for that one. Let's see. Somebody's checking in at Sierra Nevada Brewing Company in Mills River, North Carolina. Brian G is drinking a pale ale. Good, simple, just delicious beer. Back to one of the first beers I really got into, From the Source. 4 cap rating on that beer. If you guys ever get the chance to go to Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, I've never been in the one in Chico Hills or in Chico Hill. Yeah, Chico, California. But the one in Mills River, North Carolina, I know so many people have lovingly called that place Malt Disney World. That place is so cool. All right. Next on the list is going to be from David Martin. He's drinking Not Everything Has to Be an IPA by
Exactly.
Bond Brothers. 4.25 caps for that beer.
What style is it, by the way?
Watch it be an IPA.
I hope it's not IPA.
Oh, please tell me it's an IPA. It's a Saison. It's a farmhouse ale.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. He's checking into a few things too, so that's good. Jeff Seiler checking into a Shreddy Van Walen
Love it.
such a good name.
Oh.
And he's got a good, it's 4.25 caps he's got here, and he says, I'm a sucker for a highly rated beer with a clever name. This is delicious. You really got me. Makes me want to jump. Jamie's crying because she doesn't have one. Okay, done. That was his check-in. I have to read it.
Jeff is so creative. I love his stuff.
All right, JC is drinking a Saison DuPont at checking in untapped at home. 4-cap rating for that beer. Classic for that style. Scrolling on up, Ryan Whedon over in Cleveland area is drinking a 427 Scytail by Great Basin Brewing Company. I've had that beer. It's freaking delicious. No notes, but 4.75 caps for that beer. Tara Carlson, she was nice enough to tag me in this check-in. She's drinking an Excellent Adventure by Calvert Brewing Company. She said, enjoying this beer while waiting for the Bachelorette. Jim will be gone by then. I hope Cat Guy and Box Boy will be sent home tonight as well. Box Boy was my favorite, Tara. Thanks for crushing my dreams. 3.75 caps on that beer. Okay, admittedly, I've never watched an episode of The Bachelorette or The Bachelor in my life. Jeff Seiler, once again, checking in. He's drinking this one out of his beer cups, bcups.net. Shepherd of the Forest by Great Nation Brewing. My first Great Notion.
Notion, yeah.
Great Notion.
He's had it before me.
I do that a lot. My first Great Notion beer, and it's delicious. Big, piney, and tropical notes with a tasty, bitter finish, like a West Coast hazy hybrid. Love this one. 4.5 caps for that beer. Continuing his check-in streak for show number 10,000, Chad Lamassa is drinking, Zergiok. Let's go with that one. Xergiok by Aslan Beer Company. Juicy AF. Lots of citrus and some coconut on the finish. This is a scary 9.4%er. Goes down way too easily and quickly. 4.5 caps for that beer.
I do appreciate the beers that have a little coconut, finish. I've had a few of them lately, and it's really tasty.
Denny,
as long as it's not too much.
Speaking of coconut, I went, remember the Hawaiian Lion that you and I drank in Vegas? Megan and I actually stopped by that brewery on the way back from a trip a couple weeks ago. I got to say, I was underwhelmed.
Disappointed?
Yeah. Anywho.
I heard it's not as good as it was back when we had it originally.
You know what? I'm sure the beer is probably still good. The brewery itself, it was kind of...
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Mike Allen, I'm reading this one because you were nice enough to tag Denny and myself in this one. He is drinking an Undercurrent by the 8th State Brewing Company. And he writes, as fate would have it, I was returning to Atlanta from Asheville yesterday and listening to the last episode of Tap the Craft, just as I pulled into 8th State Brewery in Greenville, South Carolina. The guys mentioned that we don't hear a lot about South Carolina breweries. Gave it 4-cap rating for that.
But now
beer.
we do. He just showed us one.
And this is a Helles lager with Satz, Hallertau, Mittelfrüh, and Supersatz hops.
Oh, Super. That's that last one I haven't heard of before. The other ones I've all heard of.
That probably means like super.
Yes, you're probably right.
Where's John when we need him? Let's see. Moving on. Art Warchek is drinking a Schwartz beer by Woolly Pig Farm Brewery. 4.5 caps. No notes for that one. Robert, or as we know him, Chew Your Beer, is drinking an Into the Wishing Well by Institution Ale Company. First in my community to untap this beer. It's a double, but delivers like a single. 3.75 caps for that beer. So it's a
It should be, it's a
double.
double, but it delivers like a session would be really impressive.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's clocking in at 8.7%. But if you're drinking it and it's delivering like a single, then pound yourself a couple, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next on the list, you were talking to Kyle Lilly today a little
Yeah.
bit, huh? Checking
Yeah.
into High West Barrel Aged Victory at Sea. Oh yeah,
A 2017 version.
yeah. That he toasted my check into that beer a couple of hours ago too. Found this gem hiding behind the keg. Phenomenal beer, not as boozy as you would expect for 12%. 5 cap rating for that beer. That is one beer from Ballast Point. Their Victory at Sea line that I absolutely love. Whether it's the plain one, there's a coffee version, there's the barrel age. I mean, it's a good, just solid beer. And I'll give it to Ballast Point. They've got some really cool label art, just really cool. I really like that stuff. Moving on up the list. Let's see. We'll get Chad in here one more time. Oberon by Bell's Brewery. Always a good classic. One of my favorite summer beers, he says. 4 cap rating. And Jeff Weesey drinking a pale, the Seven Seas by Zymercracy Beer Company at Zymercracy Beer Company. I just wanted to say the beer name or the brewery name twice. Very easy drinking pale, hop notes of pine and tropical fruit flavors. Cheers, 4.5 caps for that beer. Now, Mark Church, you checked into a beer from Seventh Sun Brewing Company called Peach Blossom. Oh. And you wrote, it's growing on me, really tart. Now, Seventh Sun, seventh, not seven.
Yeah, the one in Ohio.
The one in Columbus, right? He gave it 3 caps. It's growing on me, so just above average. Mark, I'd be curious to know what it's really growing on me, but still gave it a 3 cap rating. Why the difference? Jeremy Garrett.
If it wasn't growing on him, it would have been a 2.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, at least it's above average. This is getting better even as it's warming up this cold.
Actually,
heat.
You know what? It's weird you said that because I finished mine. It's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It got even better at the end.
Yeah,
I'm gonna raise mine to either a 4 1/4. I might even go to 4.5.
Okay.
Because this beer really comes out when it warms up a little bit more too.
Yeah.
So I want to say the same thing. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. So Jeremy Garrison's drinking an Idaho Paradise by Bear Island Brewing Company. Light and tropical is what he says. 4 1/4 caps for that beer. My check-in for cold feet, 4 1/4 caps. Let's refresh this thing. See if there's anybody left.
You can't be checking in while we're recording, man.
I didn't.
Come on.
Oh, come on. I recorded 16 minutes ago.
Oh.
And Art Warcheck is drinking a Hawk Sauce by Voodoo Brewing. Watching the Home Run Derby. This beer is a home run too, 4.5 caps. And that is what everybody is drinking.
Wow. Great bunch of beers. A lot of variety. A lot of good names in there as well. So thank you, everyone, for getting those check-ins in so we could have our Untapped
craft.
One
thing I forgot to mention is if you want us to read your check-ins on our show, make sure you're following me. Well, follow Denny too, but you got to follow me on Untapped at MCK1345. And we normally record Monday night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
6:30 Boise time.
6:30 Boise time. If
you
don't know what time we're recording, send us a message on all things social media at Tap the Craft.
That's right. Okay, Chris, before we get into the brew buzz, it's time for an intermission because Denny has to go potty.
He's got to go make pee-pees.
So give me a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You can talk up the crowd.
You know what? I'm probably going to do the same thing.
Oh, okay. Everyone, just stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. All right, I'm back. Yes, Mike, that is the social distancing equivalent to two women going to the bathroom together. Normally, sticks around to keep you guys company, but I guess he also drank too much tonight and has to, yeah, cue the elevator music. All right, well, tonight is going well. We're already a beer down, almost two beers down. Getting into a great brew buzz topic here in a minute. Like I said, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and if you are curious about brewing it, we will be talking about some brewing notes that might help you along. So, hopefully everyone's surviving the hot weather and your air conditioning is working. I got mine turned down pretty good right now, so if you see me do a little shiver, it's because I get cold. Yes, I'm getting old where my body temperature is no longer flaming hot like a young, high volume, blood rushing male. I'm old, slow blood draining male now. Hey, Chris, I'm glad you're back because I'm not good at keeping the crowd active. I'm not good at comedy here.
Well, I mean, Eric did make a good point. I should have
Yeah.
cued the elevator music first.
I was thinking that as I was making my own music. That
I like Mike's comment though. Is this the social distancing equivalent of two women going to the bathroom together? Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
pretty much.
it's 1,500 miles in between us. Sure, why not?
Yeah, I took my phone with me, and Chris took his with him too.
Nope, it's that right here.
No,
I didn't.
I didn't either. It's sitting
Denny,
here still
pass me some
live on
TV.
Facebook. All right, Chris, you ready to get this brew buzz started?
I need to finish this beer first, don't I?
No,
But yeah,
no,
let's go ahead and get started.
We can get through it, and then you
Oh,
can finish
okay.
it, and then we can do the tasting notes. So it's okay.
Okay, then yeah, let's do it.
All right, well, now it's time for the Brew Buzz. The Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics, and this week, as we already mentioned, we will be discussing Belgian Triple L's. Everything you want to know, the history, the style characteristics, the profile, even how to brew for the first time if you've never brewed a Triple L before. I don't know all this stuff out of the top of my head. I'm sorry. So I have to go and rely on the internet to provide me some of this information. I have 3 sites that will be in the show notes, but the first one that I grabbed some information from is called Belgian Tripel, Style Characteristics, Brewing Tips, and History, found on the kegerator.com website, written by Nick Carr. Also used the style profile, Why is it called Belgian Tripel, found on the Growler website, written by Michael Agnew. And of course, getting some information from the craftbeer.com website, Beer Styles, Belgian Style Triple. All right, so let's get in to the history of the Belgian Triple. And I'll start off here, Chris, and I'll give you the cue to carry on when I get too winded. All right. With long-held traditions rooted deep in the Middle Ages, European monastic brewers have greatly influenced modern brewing culture and continue to craft some of the most defining and memorable ales. The Belgian Triple is the youngest of the ale trilogy. Keep in mind there's also the double, the triple, and the quadruple. That form the very heart of Belgium's high art of brewing. Born about 90 years ago, the Belgian Triple Ale was the genius of highly esteemed secular brewer Hendrik Verlinden of Dry Linden Brewery. In the early 1930s, Hendrik began working on a recipe for a strong golden ale that might hold its own against the growing popularity of pale beers in Europe. In 1932, he released it under the name of Whitcap Pater, and has since that name has since been changed to Whitcap Tripel or Triple. Though not of the order, he marketed the ale under the Trappist name. Although the Trappist label was not yet trademarked in 1931, members of the monastic order did disapprove of its use by non-monks. Verlinden, however, had been consulting for the brewers at the Trappist brewery Westmalle. I never know how to say that. Is that Westmalle or Westmalle?
Where did
What do you
it
think, Chris?
go? I'd
West.
go with West Mall.
I always have called it Westmalle.
Yeah.
I assume that's what it is, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not Belgian, so I'll just go with Westmalle. For some time, and because of this relationship, he was the sole non-Trappist brewer allowed to market his beer in that way. The monks at Westmalle first brewed their triple in 1934 and released it under the name Super Beer. Again, big beer. In the 1950s, the recipe was modified with the addition of more hops, and the name was changed to Triple. It has remained unchanged ever since. Westmalle Triple was was the first authentically Trappist triple and is still considered by many to be the benchmark for the style. Triples have grown in popularity over the past several years due to the rebuilding of Belgian brewing and the growing curiosity of this and other region brewing arts. Several of the Trappist monasteries, many other abbeys, independent brewers, and even American microbreweries have started to experiment with triples and other Belgian styles. So, Chris, why is this beer called a triple?
Well, there are nearly as many explanations for the Belgian style designations single, double, and triple as there are drinkers who love imbibing them. Is it called a triple because it's brewed with 3 times the grain? Is it boiled 3 times, triple fermented? Maybe it's 3 times as strong as other beers. The name probably goes back to earlier times in brewers when a method called party guile was used to make different strength beers from the same mash. The runnings from the first mash yielded a rich, high sugar wort. The grains were then mashed again, often multiple times. Each successive mash gave a weaker wort. The resulting worts were then blended in different proportions to create beers of different strengths. Brewers often assigned letter designations to each type of beer they made. For instance, their pale beer might be called X, and so X, XX, and XXX were different strengths of that brewer's pale beer, single, double, and triple.
There you go. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and start chatting about the style profile and characteristics?
Complex, sometimes mild, spicy flavor characterizes this style. Yeast-driven complexity is common. Triples are often on the higher end of the ABV spectrum, yet are approachable to many different palates. These beers are commonly bottle conditioned and finished dry. The Belgian style triple is similar to Belgian style golden strong ales, but are generally darker and have a more noticeable malt sweetness.
Yeah.
Their appearance is, their color is going to be pale to pale gold. As far as clarity goes, it's going to be clear. So no haziness.
No haziness.
Nice and clear. And carbonation, at least for visual, it's going to be fast rising bubbles in the appearance for carbonation. In the aroma or the flavor, alcohol is going to be mild. Hop aroma, and flavor are not perceived too low. And hop bitterness is medium to medium high. So there's going to be a little bit of hop bitterness in this one too, which is good. Sean Freeman says, yo, drink up. So,
oh, Sean, welcome. Good to see you, buddy.
Cheers, Sean.
Well, cheers. I just finished my beer because we're getting ready to do tasting notes.
I know. That's why I got to make sure my glass is empty so we can do tasting notes. The malt, low sweetness from very pale malts is present. Esters, you're going to have some fruit esters, orange, banana. Phenols are going to be complex. Sometimes mild, spicy flavor, clove-like phenolic flavor may be evident at very low levels. And fermentation byproducts, the things you'll see there, traditional triples are bottle conditioned and may exhibit slight yeast haze, but the yeast should not be intentionally roused.
Yeah, it's a good point because the yeast will be at the bottom of that bottle. And typically when I pour a triple, and again, almost all of them are bottle conditioned, I tend to pour and then I just leave that little bit there, and I don't risk
Yeah.
getting that haze, because once you get that stuff in there, it just clouds up that beer, and it also adds, a bit of roughness to the flavor. It gives
Yeah.
it a little bit more bitterness to it, and it's not as good. So I always leave a bottom
Yeah, we call those the
sledge.
dregs.
The dregs, yeah, yeah.
Denny, you want to talk to us a little bit about sensations?
Sure, I'll talk about the sensations. Now, the body of the beer is going to be soft to mouth coating. Carbonation, as you already mentioned, there's a lot of bubbles coming up. It's going to be high carbonation. Your finish is going to be short to medium. It's not going to be lasting like forever. It's going to finish quick or just slightly beyond quick. And of course, the attenuation, meaning the amount of sugars taken out of that beer, are going to be very high. So it's going to do a high attenuation. Yeast is going to drain those sugars from that beer, so it's not overly sweet. Some ingredients that you'll find here: for hops, you're going to use Tettnang and Czech Saaz, and for malt, you're going to use Belgian Pilsner. And for water, it should be a soft water, not a hard water. And a yeast, uh, again, this is what the craftbeer.com guys are saying is ale yeast. Um, but you can use Belgian yeast as well. So it's weird that they just call it ale yeast, but maybe ale instead of lager is what they're going for there. I would have been a little bit more specific, but yeah, whatever. We will talk about yeast later on in the brewing section. All right, so here's some examples that were listed that some are unknown to me, and some are very much known to me, but I'll just go ahead and read these because it's a variety that will give a lot of people around the country and as well as around the world an idea of some Belgian triples you can try that are of high quality. Uh, Interesting, the first one mentioned, Golden Monkey from Victory Brewing Company. This is a Downingtown, Pennsylvania brewery. This beer has won the Great American Beer Festival Gold in 2014, and it's available year round. And I love
Everywhere.
Golden. Yeah, I love Golden Monkey. I do drink this quite a bit. It's a good beer, uh, and you can get this pretty much around the nation. So if you want to try an American version of it, Golden Monkey is a good one to try.
And this is also one that I can find this in my local gas station.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
You
it's
might be able
that
to.
readily available.
Yeah. Another one is I don't know what it is. Bed Otter from Iron Hill Brewing and Restaurant. And this is in Newark, Delaware. It won the Great American Beer Festival Silver in 2014. It's available as bottled reserve at some locations. Check their website for more information. Candy Belgian Triple from Dominion Brewing out of Dover, Delaware. World Beer Cup winner Gold 2014. It's available on draft and in fall and winter for pickup. Blitzen from Steamworks Brewing Company in Burnaby, Canada. So we got some Canada beer here. World Beer Cup winner silver in 2014, available from November to January in 650 milliliter bottles. Now, where did the 650 come from? What size is that? I never even heard of 650
It's
before.
100 milliliters shy of
Yeah, you're getting ripped off with that bottle. Here's one that's great. I almost brought my Delirium Tremens glass up to drink from, but I didn't. I brought this La Chouffe glass up instead because it's a nice tulip glass. But Delirium Tremens from brewery, I'm not going to say Hygie, from Melly, Belgium. World Cup winner, bronze 2014, available year round, but may be hard to find in the U.S. Now, this beer is not hard to find in my area, at least. I think this is a beer you can find in most areas that have imported beer. I recommend it. Comes around if they're not going to have it around year round, it definitely comes around towards wintertime. At the Christmas time, you'll be able to find it. One we already talked about, the Westmalle Trappist Triple from Westmalle Trappist Brewery in Westmalle, Belgium. World Cup winner gold 2012, available year round. Nectar de Deuce from Bastogne Brewing in Royal Oak, Michigan. World Cup winner silver 2012, available at Bastogne. And Steenbrug Triple from Palm Breweries in Steinhoffel, Belgium. World Cup winner bronze 2012. And one that they didn't mention in the article, but one that I really enjoy and probably my favorite triple is Triple Carmelite from Belgium, somewhere brewery Bastogne. No, brewery. I just said Bastogne, but that's a different one, a different brewery. But that's a great beer. Uh, I love that triple. Easy drinking, light. Uh, very very enjoyable. So Triple Carmelite can be found in most places, I think.
And there was one that Eric Gronley brought up that I was surprised wasn't on that list, was La Fin du Monde by
Another Canada beer, yeah, by
so
Unibrow.
Unibrow.
Yeah, I've had that beer. In fact, I have a bottle here somewhere. I
I-
have
you
my
know-
Triple Carmelite bottle here somewhere too. I don't know where it's at.
Bosteels, Eric?
Yeah, Bastilles. Yes, that's it. Yeah, I knew it was something with a B. I couldn't remember. But have you had that one before, Chris?
From Carmelite?
Yeah.
No.
But
No,
you
I
don't
take
like.
that back.
You're not a big Belgian fan,
No,
though.
I am a big Belgian fan. Actually,
now you're-
I had so I actually had a Dunkel yesterday.
A double?
A Dunkel. So we had a
Wait,
it was
you had
little,
a German beer.
yeah, but it was
We're talking about Belgian beers.
look, I get it. It had some Belgian yeast in it. Look, we'll introduce you to my Belgian dog who's out in the freaking living room.
Okay. Yeah, you win. You win.
But yeah, I really do, and it every time we talk about Belgian beers, it just makes me think of when I reached out to you and John, and I was like, I don't like Belgian beers. That changed.
Yeah.
Changed rather quickly. Just from, again, if you don't like a certain beer, you just haven't tried the right one.
And that's the key, because I also mentioned on the 40 cast that I wasn't a big fan of Belgian beers. It's been hard for me to get into it. And John wrote me an email, and he sent me a number of beers. Said, here, go find these and try these. If you're gonna like any Belgian beer, these are the ones you're gonna enjoy. And I went out and followed his list. I bought the beers, I drank them, and you know what? I found that I could appreciate Belgian style beers.
Yeah.
I got into it with some gateway Belgian beers, and then as I started to appreciate what the styles could provide, I started like searching more and really starting to enjoy them. So, like you, Chris, I didn't like Belgian beers at first, and then I grew to love them, and my love has only come in the last 8-9 years, right? Before that, I wasn't even appreciating Belgian beers, and now I love Belgian beers. So, you too can change. Don't worry.
Oh yeah,
You can change.
you certainly.
All right,
can.
Chris, you ready to do another beer tasting before we get into the last section of this brew buzz?
I am, but I'm so confused because since we've moved and we're unpacking everything,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to use my Cigar City
Cigar
bottle
City,
opener,
yeah.
if I want to use my Wicked Weed bottle opener,
Oh wow, look at you, Mr.
if I want to use my Wicked Weed Funkatorium bottle
Ooh,
opener,
nice.
right?
Wow.
Or my Ballast Point bottle
Oh
opener.
yeah, nice.
So I think I'm gonna go Cigar City, just because it's a little more hefty. It does a pretty good job opening this bottle. You know what? I never got one of those. And
Gropener.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. So the
Because it's
Gropener,
one-handed.
it's one-handed, and it releases the bottle cap without denting it or bending it.
Yeah.
And John gave this to me. John's a great friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been using it ever since. And this is on our website. We have a link to getting this Gropener on our website if you want to find one for yourself. It's a great opener. It's that easy.
Mm-hmm.
And the cap comes off perfect every time.
Yeah.
So visit our website and get the Gropener.
Tapthecraft.com.
All right. So we are going to do a live tasting of a Belgian triple from New Glarus Brewing out of New Glarus,
Speaking
Wisconsin.
of glare, Jesus.
That's okay. You're definitely glaring, man. You need to put a glare, like a shield over
There's
you.
a diffuser on this thing. We're at, I don't know, 5% here. We could turn it up real bright and we could,
Yeah. But this is called Triple Five. It's a Belgian style triple from New Glarus. And what they had to say about this, Triple Five celebrates the divine confluence of 5 unique grains: barley, white wheat, oats, brown brown rice, brown rice,
Fly
and
rice?
heirloom Midwestern corn each lend attributes that collectively create greatness. Strong 9% ABV, originated at 20 degrees Plato, the Belgian-style triple celebrates its golden blonde heritage by retaining that luscious natural hue. Double decoction and experimental organic hops elevate spicy notes, balancing fruity caramel tones. The addition of Belgian candy sugar is the traditional bottle fermentation method. Strength in unity reflected here.
So there's definitely some
I can't see.
floaties in
You're
here.
not in the camera there, dude.
I know. I'm looking.
Oh.
I'm looking for myself. Just chill out, damn
I
it.
was making sure you knew you were in front of the camera.
Because if I put it here, you guys can't see in the bottle. If I'm putting it up here, I can see through my glass. I definitely disturbed the dregs at the bottom, but it's all right. I'm still gonna love it.
So I'm using my Le Chouffe tulip glass. And tulip glass is a preferred glass for drinking Belgian triples because it has a nice fluted top, but it has the bulb to hold all the beer, and it allows you to. I'm gonna try to get as much as I can without getting. Okay, I think I've done enough. Beer. Fairly clear. It's got a lot of bubbles. You can see, maybe you can see the bubbles coming up. Very bubbly.
Very bubbly.
All right. So looking at this, Chris, it's got a golden yellow.
It's like a golden.
Like honey. Like almost honey golden. It's clear. I can see you through the beer in the screen. It's got mine because I poured it light. I didn't have a heavy head, but notice that the bubbles coming up are still generating a nice thin head on here. Coarse bubbles, not dense, thick.
So
small bubbles like we had before.
I kind of have a little bit of the opposite. My bubbles are, and I did pour this a little more aggressively. But
okay.
So I've got some pretty dense, very small bubbles, but there's a lot of movement in that carbonation.
Yeah. The beer is, and this is, keep in mind, this is not a laser etched bottom glass. This is a standard tulip glass, and it's got a lot of bubbles coming out. Very well, bubbly, like they said in the style characteristics. So
yeah, because I always want to do one of these too. Like you guys can see.
That's a bright light.
My freaking portable sunshine over here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, take a swig, or I mean, as nose hit.
Ooh, lots of clove.
Clove, banana. There's a little bit of spiciness in the background there too. It's got pretty much what you expect to have in a Belgian ale: the clove, the banana, a little bit of spiciness.
Now all my bubbles are pretty much gone now.
Yeah, it smells delicious.
It smells really good.
All right, let's take a sip, Chris.
I'm going to take two just to be sure.
Yeah. So right off the top, clove or coriander, clovey character. I can't decide if it's clovey or coriander. I want to say coriander. Which is another characteristic of what you could get from Belgian ales, at least in the saison side of it, is some coriander character. It's clovey. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to tell if it's clove or coriander, but I'm leaning towards the spiciness of the coriander.
I'm leaning more towards spicy. Yeah, I would have to, because coriander. If you're not aware, coriander is the seed that grows cilantro. And then that's going to have some not vegetal, but some more grassy.
It's got a little grassiness to it. Yeah, I get a little grassiness to it.
And it's definitely a little bitterness that lingers on towards the end there.
It's got some bitterness, but I also get a little bit of sweetness on my tongue. So it does hold a little bit of sweetness, but not over sweet. It's got a little bit of sweetness you can taste on your tongue. Um, Now, to compare this, it's now there's no real comparison between this and our other tasting notes that we do
Oh,
with
it's
the dry hops IPA. But
totally different.
remember when I said that on the back of my tongue after the finish, I felt that the bitterness was coming out on the tongue
Mm-hmm.
and not in my mouth. The same thing here, but not with the bitterness, but with that sweetness. It kind of just lingers in the back of my tongue with that little bit of sweetness. So it's a complete opposite of what we got with that other beer. Is we're getting a sweetness,
Yeah.
sensation at the end, but not overly sweet.
Now, just fair warning too, while we're finishing it up. Um, was there an ABV on the bottom? 9%, right? So this is clocking in at 9% with all the glare, right? Something tells me, Denny, that here in a few minutes, you and I are going to try to read through all this, and it's going to start affecting us.
It might,
So-
because we've just drank an 8% double IPA, whatever we had before that, and now a 9%. Yeah, we're gonna feel pretty good. But
yeah.
okay, this is really opening up. The more I drink, the warmer it gets. I definitely get the I might be changing my thing to more clovey.
I feel like
Clove,
this warmed up real fast.
Yeah. Clove, banana, and a touch of orange. Very slight. Like the sweetness, the orange is like the sweet orange character at the finish. Like it's like I get clove up front, banana, and it eases into like an orange sweetness character at the finish. Very enjoyable. It is fairly dry with that slight sweetness lingering in my tongue. That's the only real sweetness I get. I'm really enjoying this a lot. This is a really good triple. I'm pretty impressed. Now, New Glarus hasn't let me down yet. There's not a beer that I've had from them that lives up to the hype that brewery gives. So this is another one I think that really follows the guidelines that we spoke of. High carbonation, soft, little bit of mouth coating with that little bit of sweetness, dry with the high attenuation, and gives us those phenols that we are expecting from a Belgian style ale. The bitterness is almost non-existent, but it's not. But it's there to give us the complement to the sweetness. Alcoholic 0. I don't get any alcoholic esters or characters in here as far as the 9%. Right? This is 9%, but you don't feel like you're drinking an alcoholic beer, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Of course, there we go. No, this is very simple, and even that we were talking about the whole carbonation thing, going back to I went to having a very coarse, not very coarse, but very dense head. This has pretty much disappeared, and I don't know what it is, but like I said a few minutes ago, that this warmed like quickly. Not like alcohol burn, but
no, just
like
warmed up
temperature-wise.
and as again, when beer warms and you have the right glassware to really take in the aromas and the stuff coming off of it, this beer gets better every sip I take. This beer is fantastic. I mean, this is really good triple. And so I'm going to say right now, if you can, wasn't mentioned on that list of beers that they mentioned, but this is a beer that I know has a very small distributorship. But if you can get this beer, I think it's worth trying. I'm really enjoying this triple.
Yeah, I'm I'm definitely enjoying this one too. It's
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm sitting here. I'm like, yeah, I really think that it's. And I keep drinking it, and it's I don't have the words for it.
I know. I only have a little bit left. I'm gonna down this 9% beer in like no time. I better put my glass down.
Good luck.
We better move on before we get too wasted. But I'm gonna just say this. This is right now. It's at 4.5 rating for me.
Okay.
By the time I finish it, I might raise it to a 5. We'll see. Let me see how it goes. Because I want to raise that other one I want to raise the other one to a 4.5 for that double IPA.
Okay.
I went from 4 to 4.5 by the time it warmed up to real temperature. And this one, we've only poured it like 3 minutes ago. I'm drank half of it. I'm in love with it. When I finish the rest, I might go from a 4.5 to a higher value. But this is a very good triple. I really like this beer a lot. Okay, well let's move on, Chris. Keep drinking your beer. Anything else you want to say about the beer? I spoke a lot.
Other than thank you. I mean, Denny, you pretty much covered all the things that I would like to say about it and some. I love the fact that when you and I get to do this show, is that you're the detail guy. I just
you just say, yeah,
it's good. I like it, right?
That's my buddy Devious Mr. Matt too, right? He just, that's good.
Yeah, I like it. Get more of it. I've never been one for the details, but man, that's why you backed me up.
Nah, no problem. No problem. All right, Chris. Well, you know what? You are the home brewer, or at least you were the home brewer of the team.
All my stuff is gone.
It's gone, but it's okay. I think that this is a good. Are you able to speak, or you need to take a break?
I think I could. No, I'm good.
Okay. So here are some tips for brewing Belgian triple recipe. I'll read the introduction, Chris. There's each segment that talks about the grain bill, if you're going to use like whole grain or all grain, or you're going to use extract, the sugars you got to put in, the yeast. It talks about everything. But I'll give the introduction, let you talk about each of the steps, okay?
Okay.
All right. So if you want to take on brewing a Belgian triple, but are a little daunted by creating something with such high ABV, rest easy. Brewing a triple isn't hard. But if this is your first attempt at any kind of strong ale or your first go at a triple, these tips will hopefully help you along. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and provide tips for brewing yourself a triple?
Okay. So the grain bill can be very simple for a triple. The bulk of any recipe should be made up of high quality Pilsner malt. If you want full authenticity, go with one of Belgian origin. Here it comes, right? Though Weyermann makes a great German Pilsner that will also work well. That's all you really need. Many great triple recipes use only Pilsner, and it's a great way to go if this is your first try.
Mm-hmm.
But many other recipes use a 2 to 3% addition of character malt, such as light crystal, aromatic, light Munich, even flaked or other malted grains like wheat or oats. Even rye could work. There you go, Denny.
Yeah. Intriguing.
Yeah. It has a nice peppery flavor that might complement the yeast profile as well. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is it. There's a lot of variety you could do with a triple. You could just make it with Pilsner malt and it will be good. Or if you wanted to, you could add some variety, whether you want to soften the mouthfeel a little bit with some oats, or if you want to give it a little bit more spicy kick with some rye. That's intriguing. I don't think I've ever had a rye triple before. I think I need to brew one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I need you to brew one, or I need John to brew one.
Yeah, so John's going to probably have to be the one that brews it. Eric Gronley says, jumps in the car to drive across to the Minnesota-Wisconsin border. Road trip. Yeah, so that would definitely have to be something on John, because like I said, I got rid of all my stuff. I gave away all my brewing stuff.
You gave it away? You could have sent it to me, but that would be a heavy...
I sold my 2 kegs a couple days ago. However, I still have my CO2 tanks. Just in case we get like a keg or something.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you definitely should have a keg in the house.
Yeah, so we'll see where it goes from there. So if you want to go the extract route, for those wanting to, that's always the route that I always went because it was simple. For those wanting to brew extract for the Belgian triple, the extract kit is a good start. You could do or you could add a mini mash with a small amount of character malt to build some different characters into the beer. And you can still add adjunct sugars at the lower end of the percentage mentioned below to increase fermentables and complexity. Now, what that means is different to everybody. So adjunct sugars are going to be things. I believe that would be more like the Belgian candy or
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You have to add those Belgian candy sugars if you want to have the high ABV that is needed to get this beer to where it needs to be.
Because you got to feed the yeast. Keep your yeast happy. Your beer will always be good.
Yeah, and it helps give you that that flavor too with the Belgian beers without giving it, because that candied Belgian candied sugar is going to be eaten quite fast, right? I mean, the yeast is going to eat that up, give you the alcohol you need, not leave it too sweet, but that candied sugar will also give you flavor that will give you the orange and give you the stuff that's in there that you're expecting to taste.
Right. Well, speaking of adjunct sugars, it's always used. One of the main things that make a triple so special is the high ABV hidden within the mellow, crisp, captivating folds of a beer that drinks much lighter than you'd expect.
Yeah.
Much of this crisp lightness comes from adjunct sugar. These sugars should make up 5 to 20% of the fermentables and include jaggery, yep,
These are cooking
Pilanchulo.
terms, right?
Yeah.
I assume you know what these are.
Sure, Pilanchulo. Yeah, and other semi-refined sugars. Honey too. At least the lighter ones make for an interesting addition.
So that's intriguing because to me, honey sugar is a heavier sugar, right?
Yep.
Right? And honey will provide flavors of whatever the bees were eating at the time they were making the honey, right? The pollen that they're eating. So that could be a very interesting character to the triple. But I think that would also make it a heavier beer than what it needs to be. I like the triple because it's a very light bodied beer, and it's not heavy. It's not that those adjunct sugars provide that lightness without the heaviness of the sugars coming from the barley.
Yeah. Well, that honey too. That's a more like dense. If you were look at it, as far as calories go, or as far as the nutritional value, honey is a much more dense sweetener.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a little more fuel behind that honey too.
And my experience with honey adjuncts in regular beers is it adds a bigger mouthfeel or a heavier body, right?
Yeah.
So it's everything that I don't want in a Belgian triple.
Well, I mean, I used to use Florida honey. I used to make an amber ale that I would, as soon as I turned the flame off, I would dump a pound of honey into it, and it gave it a kind of a heavier mouthfeel to it, a little more sweetness, of course, because you're pouring a pound of honey into 5 gallons of liquid.
Yeah.
But it would, it gave the yeast something to eat too. So it was kind of like almost a supplement for the yeast to do some bottle conditioning.
A honey amber or a honey brown are perfect. Those are the two perfect styles for using honey with, in my opinion, because you want to give that extra body, that extra, character to it.
I definitely feel like though that if this was with honey, this would be way too just over the top sweet and not as easy to drink as this is.
Yeah, I've got one sip left, and I'm almost at the end, and there's no dregs in there. I did pretty good at not pouring anything in there. I'm going to stick with my 4.5 rating. What do you think? What do you rate this beer, Chris?
I'm going to stick to my 4.25. That's been my comfortable number lately. I feel like I use that one a lot, 4.25.
Okay.
So
okay, I'm sticking with 4.5. It didn't raise above. It didn't go below, but it wasn't enough to raise it above. It held steady. 4.5 is where I felt this was. So good. We've got a little bit differing opinions. which is fine.
Either way, great beer.
Yeah.
Great beer. All right. So as far as yeast goes, a good Belgian yeast is essential when brewing a triple. The yeast should be an unmistakable presence in the finished product, making its work with qualities of spice, like pepper, nutmeg, and clove, and hints of banana, lemon, and orange are possible.
Mm.
Thought should be given to what type of profile you like in the beer, and then find a yeast that seems to speak the language, though here again, finding the one you like the best may take several batches. Oh no, you got to try so many different beers to get it right.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can always split a single batch of beer into smaller fermenters and try one or two or several different yeasts of the same recipe. That's a pretty cool idea.
No, that's a great idea. And I'm going to stop for a second because although I'm not brewing at home and I'm not planning on doing it until I retire at the earliest, when I did think about doing it, my whole plan was to brew a 5-gallon batch and split it into 1 gallon, like whatever beer I did, I was going to plan on splitting into small batches, either whether it's a 2-gallon batch or a 1 gallon each, and try experimental stuff of each thing, right? So I didn't just have 5 gallons of one type of beer. I'd have, either 5 1-gallon batches or 2.5-gallon batches that would provide me the opportunity to try out different things to see how it turns out. And this is a perfect opportunity to try different yeast and find out how they react with your wort and provide the characters you like or dislike.
Yeah. That's a great idea, because that could yield you either 5 very different beers.
Yeah.
Or maybe a couple that taste very similar, but you can kind of figure out. I mean, gosh, there's so many different yeast strains out there. You can go into your local bottle or homebrew shop, and if you go into a good one, you can probably find 100 different strains of yeast. I mean,
there's a lot.
Well, that, and you can, if you know how to, you can cultivate yeast out of, well, hell, we could probably cultivate yeast out of this bottle if we really wanted to. So let's see. A couple of good places to start might be White Labs, their WLP 550 Belgian ale yeast, or Y Yeast 3787, their Trappist high gravity. If using dry yeast, Fermentus Safe Brew T58 should work well. Now, as far as hops go, you want the bitterness somewhere between 30 and 40 IBUs. Styrian Goldings and Tettnang would work well for the boil. Hop aroma and flavoring aren't that big a deal in this style, but you still want a high quality hop. Saaz hops are often used for finishing.
I don't like Saaz, so I wouldn't use that. I use Tettnang over Saaz.
What's in here?
I think Saaz is in here, actually. So I shouldn't say that.
In your 4.5
I'm not
beer.
I'm not a typical Saaz fan because the bitterness is too much for me. But
Okay. Hop additions can be kept simple here. The bittering addition at 60 minutes and a small aroma addition at 15 minutes. So as far as brewing goes, most boils you're going to do for about an hour, and hops that you put in the beginning, at the very beginning of your boil, are going to be there for bittering. Anything probably after 30 minutes or 45 minutes, so the last 15 minutes or so of your boil, is going to be there for that aroma, those different flavors like your citrus and stuff like that. So mashing is a straightforward single infusion at the lower end of the saccharification temperature range, around 145, so that you get more fermentables and a lighter, crisper body. Saccharification, saccharide. So the sugar, something to do with the sugar changing temperature. Okay. Bottle conditioning. A Belgian triples should be bottle conditioned, meaning the yeast continues to work and creates carbonation within the capped bottle. There are a few things to consider here that will make the process slightly different than bottle conditioning other ales. First, an initial gravity of 1.060 makes your yeast work very hard. They are tired, worn out, and old by the time fermentation is complete. This isn't to say that they don't have enough oomph left to bottle condition. They probably do, but
No, they don't.
it isn't a bad idea to cast new yeast when you get ready to bottle the beer. This would fall under optimum practices. The second thing to realize is that triples are usually highly carbonated. If you want this higher carbonation, most places will recommend using a cup of plain sucrose instead of the usual smaller amount of 3/4 of a cup.
Yeah, give it a little extra sugar
Look,
to get that conditioning going.
Yeah, the more sugar, the better, I guess. And third, because of the higher pressure, regular beer bottles are not appropriate and can be dangerous. Like it. Instead, try to find some 750 milliliter wine bottles. Damn, that's big. That you can cork and cage.
Yeah, 25 ounces, extra thick champagne style bottles, created just for the case of high pressure situations like champagne. And I think that, I mean, it's important to make sure you have a strong bottle and a strong security, because it's going to build pressure, and you need to be able to secure the cap or the cork or whatever to make sure it doesn't explode and cause a lot of pain.
Well, then you'll have stuff like this
Stanley
happening.
Cup win.
Oh, that's a little loud. So
Wow, you really celebrate. What was that you were celebrating with?
that was a bottle of champagne.
Is that Cook's?
No, that was a bottle
Dom
of
Perignon?
champagne. Just shy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I didn't see that video before. That was.
It never made it to social media.
That was good. That was
yeah.
good. I didn't realize you were. I knew you were excited about the win, but my gosh, that was a bit over the top.
So we were given, when we closed on our house, we were given 2 bottles of champagne. One bottle got consumed after we closed on the house because we went camping the weekend after we closed on the house. The second one sat in my beer cooler.
Oh.
It no longer exists. There you go.
Nice. All right, Chris. Well, hey, that is our brew buzz. I hope you guys all enjoyed the discussion on Belgian Triple L's, the history, where the name came from, the style, characteristics, and profile, and as well as a tasting note segment with a very good beer from New Glarus Brewing, 555. Tasting note segment, and we even gave you some tips on if you wanted to brew your own, how to brew it the best it could be brewed. So thanks for sticking around and listening to that. Chris, before we go on to our new and noteworthy, it's time for another intermission.
Intermission.
Denny has to make potty again.
Denny,
so
can go ahead
I'll be
and
right
potty.
back.
Let's see what the YouTube has for intermission.
Better fit, better today.
Denny's got to go to the bathroom.
Show starts in 8 minutes.
Well,
Yum,
not 8 minutes.
Yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go.
Wow, look, we were fancy.
Show
All right.
starts in 7 minutes.
Oh boy. So you know what? Summertime is tough for me
Yeah.
because I drink a lot of water to keep hydrated, and then I drink a lot of beer when we record. So
Oh, how do
the
we
live
make it?
show, the live shows are have to deal with me having intermission.
Okay. My apologies if this is loud, but I've totally lost.
It's not too loud.
It's refreshment time,
I've
folks.
totally lost where my shit. There it is.
Ah,
Okay.
we're back.
I totally lost where my share screen button went, and it was. I was like, I don't know how to turn this off.
Ah, it was very entertaining.
That's funny.
I hope all of our listeners appreciated that old school intermission.
I know Eric
Cartoon.
did. He said, "Nicely done."
Yeah. All right, Chris, are you ready to talk about our new and noteworthy beers?
I certainly am.
All right. Do you want to go first? Or want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first because mine are always like, I had this one, it was good, I liked it, I'll get it again. So new and noteworthy beers. I want to start off with one from Westbrook Brewing Company called Maximum Florida. I
Wow.
give this one a 4.5 cap rating.
What's so maximum about it?
Well, it's a fruited sour, and the listing on Untapped says super fruited sour with dragon fruit, passion fruit, mango, pineapple, pink guava, key lime, tangerine, toasted coconut, marshmallows,
Marshmallows? Where'd that come from? That's not Florida.
and milk sugar.
And
Let's
milk sugar?
get weird is what they posted on the listing. And this is one that I hung out in the pool, cracked this beer open the other day, floating around in the pool. And I figured, well, look, what better beer to float around in the pool with than a beer called Maximum Florida? So I had to give it a shot. 4.5 caps for this beer. I hate even to make this comment. Super fruity, right? A little on the sweeter side, but it did have a nice touch of, like you were talking about earlier, that you like that nice coconut flavor in there.
Yeah.
This tasted like all the tropical tiki beach drinks you've ever had in your life, and just it wasn't overly sweet. I was expecting just this sugar bomb of just but it worked out pretty well. I like this. I did enjoy this one a lot to give it a 4.5 cap rating. Next on the list, I drank this one right after. From Drecker Brewing Company. What's up, Drecker? Their slang du jour, their blueberry cobbler, which was another fruited sour. And again, onto that, I don't like certain styles of beer. Well, Berliners and that kind of thing was another style of beer that I did not like, but it seems to be my number one check-in every single year that we do our review on Untapped.
Yeah, you drink a lot of them.
Yeah, this one probably kind of along the same fruit tart because it was the blueberry cobbler. There was some cinnamon, some vanilla in it. Nothing crazy with the cinnamon, which was good because, too much cinnamon does get to be a little over the top sometimes. But this beer, 4.5 caps as well. And drank this one by the pool. Disappeared rather quickly.
Okay.
And from Adroit Theory in Purcellville, Virginia, or as I've come to find out, Orlando, Florida.
Oh.
Because
they're brewing in Orlando?
I was texting back and forth with Chad Lamassa because my cans said that they were brewed in Orlando, which I'm kind of curious now. Can I go and get these beers locally? Well, kind of locally. But anyway, they're black metal. I had this the other day. Black metal Ghost 968 was an out beer. Definitely was a very good balance of malty and hoppy. Just sitting out in the front yard, just kind of hanging out with my dog Cajun, my Belgian dog Cajun.
Belgian
right?
Malamute?
Yeah, my Malamute. Yeah, my Belgian Malinois Cajun.
Malinois, whatever it is.
So many names. I call him a Belgian Shepherd just to keep things simple.
Okay.
But yeah, they're out beer. 4.25 caps for this beer. I believe this one was clocking in at 4 or 5%. Nothing over the top, just a good beer flavored beer that I just enjoyed drinking.
Alt beer, yeah, a good alt beer is a great beer,
Oh yeah,
and it's a style that almost no breweries, manufacture or brew.
yeah.
But when they do, it's usually a very good beer because nobody does it, and so it's just a nice treat to get. I love trying out alt beers
I
when I
do
can
too.
find them.
Yeah, I was surprised because this came up on that beer shipping. Oh, it came up on Tavor, and I had to. I see all these beers that pop up on Tavor that is, it's this smoothie sour and
Yeah.
this hazy IPA and this barrel aged stout. Granted, I got a couple of barrel aged stouts that I'm really excited to try. But when stuff from a place like Adroit Theory,
Mhm.
and then they put out an alt beer, I mean, I had to
Yeah.
pick it up. It was a 16-ounce can. Has some really cool can art on it, as they do usually have. But 4.25 caps, just a nice, lighter, easy to drink beer. And I want to talk about too a beer that is not on my list that I
Okay.
just thought about. I went to our local neighborhood brew pub, Three Bulls Brewery and Tavern, which is
Yeah.
now less than a mile from my house, which is awesome. They had a Dunkelweizen on tap that they brewed in house, and man, it was right up there with this triple that we tasted. Just damn it, Tracy, you brew some good beer. That's all I'm gonna say.
So it's nice that you guys move closer to one of your favorite places to hang out at because now you're only a mile away.
I can ride my bike there,
Yeah.
which I'm
You
looking
do
forward
quite
to.
often now?
I haven't yet. So since the move is just completed, I do have to put some air in the tires of my bike and get it back up to riding standards. But yeah, so we had some really good beers in the last few days. Denny, what was on your new and noteworthy list?
Yeah. I've drank a lot of beers, but I've didn't have as many as I was hoping. That would be above average. But I have 3 beers that I will talk about in the last 2 weeks. 3 out of like 30 that I've had.
Wow.
The first beer was a nice treat to see arrive at my doorstep from my buddy Chris McKenzie, who sent me a Cigar City Brewing improvisation
It's the word improvisation in Spanish.
Yes, improvisation, whatever it is. I can't say
Improvisación. There we go.
Yes, that's it. It's an Imperial Brown Ale, and it's a crowler. And I think Chris, you had this, and you said, and you thought, man, Denny's gonna want to have this, and you bought a crowler and sent it to me. And I'll tell you what, I loved it, and I really appreciate it, Chris. Thank you very much. What I wrote on Untapped, I said, I'm lucky to have a good friend in Tampa who can send me beers he knows I will love. I love rye in my beers. I love brown ales. I love IPA. And well, this beer hits all those styles nicely. Rye, spice, brown ale toast, and piney IPA hops. Thanks, Chris. 4.5 cap rating. So I really enjoyed this beer. That 32 ounces went down very fast. I mean, I poured a glass and I started drinking it, and I just kept drinking and drinking. I poured the rest. It was gone in like 15 minutes or less. I think I was really good. So thank you. You know me well, and that was a good beer.
No, you're very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. The next beer from Occidental Brewing out of Portland, Oregon. It's a Japanese style dry lager. Now, this is a rice lager type style. See if I can find it in my Untapped here real quick. Clean, dried, light lager that is refreshing and a great beer to drink during extremely hot weather. Another 4.5 cap rating. So everyone's gone and had Japanese style lagers, and some of them are good, and some of them are just, okay to drink while you're eating sushi or, hibachi grill stuff. But this beer is really well done. I mean, it takes that rice adjunct and and that rice adjunct makes the beer very dry, and makes it just very refreshing and a great beer to drink when it's 100 plus degrees outside. So that's a 4.5 cap rating for me. And then the last beer that I'll talk about is from a brewery that I've talked a lot about this year, Lumberbeard Brewing. Man, I love this brewery. I keep talking about them on the show. I keep hoping they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, we hear you. We want to talk. We want to be on a show and talk about beer with you." So, Lumberbeard, if you're listening, hit me up. We will bring you on the show and talk about your beer because I am absolutely in love with the beers that you're brewing. This is called Mosaic is Awesome. It's a New England IPA. Very nice fruit, almost berry-like hop aroma and flavor. Includes a decent dank finish as well. 4.25 cap rating. I'm telling you what, Lumberbeard is doing all kinds of styles very well, whether it's a hazy IPA or an imperial stout or a lager or a saison or whatever they're doing. I'm telling you, every beer I've had, I've really enjoyed, and I really appreciate that they're now distributing in Boise. So keep bringing your beer here. I'll keep buying it and I'll keep drinking it. All right, Chris, guess what? We have reached the end of the show, and we're going to try to get the show under 2 hours. With all that content, we're going to do it. But before we close the show out, I always want to give you the chance to raise a glass to somebody like to raise a glass to tonight. So who would you like to raise a glass to tonight?
It's not someone that I'd like to raise a glass to. It's a whole organization. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning for winning their second Stanley Cup in a row this year. It's been a huge. Today was the boat parade in downtown Tampa. Oh my gosh! You know what? If I wasn't at work, I probably still wouldn't go down there just because it's insane. But it was cool to be able to watch all the highlights from different social medias and things like that. So cheers to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, Eric Gronley. This is Champa Bay.
Bay.
Now I think Tom Brady just has to win a second Super Bowl in a row. So we'll see how that goes. Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to this evening?
All right, first I'll raise a glass to our Patreon toast for the evening, and that would be Matt Knight. He was the guy that left us the voicemail with the beer tasting notes, and he's also a Patreon supporter. So cheers to you, Matt. We appreciate your support, and keep it up. I mean, as far as the voicemails, you can keep paying us too, but the voicemails are good, and keep supporting us like you do. Also, I'll raise my glass to Jim Kutzel and Kevin Argauer because they both had birthdays last week. In fact, Jim Kutzel has the same birthday as my sister, July 7th. And Kevin just had a birthday the other day. So cheers to you both. And, of course, to Kevin and Amanda for your Patreon support. Thank you very much. And I just thought of one more, but I forgot what I was going to say.
While you're thinking of that, I texted Amanda and I said, "Hey, smack Kevin on the butt for me and tell him I said happy birthday."
Oh, yeah. Bear butt.
That's right.
Yeah. I also I'll raise my glass to Fermented Reality Beer Garden because I don't remember, was it Fortune Magazine or which magazine?
Oh, Men's Health. It was Men's Journal. Men's Journal. Yep.
Yeah, they were mentioned in Men's Journal about being the hot spot to go and entertain yourself at in Tampa, and that's great publicity. And from what I understand, and Chris, I mean, you've been to the beer garden many times. You've been special VIP guests at the beer garden for certain events, and you know that they do put on a pretty good, entertainment venue.
They certainly do.
Yeah. So cheers to you, Joel and Dan, Charlie, Joel Bigham and Dan Charlie for that beer garden, that little press you got in Men's Journal, and I hope it brings a lot more, visits to your not brewery, but your
the beer garden.
Yeah, because we appreciate your support. And of course, being a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and who are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. We hope you are able to return home safely to your families very soon. And Chris, why don't you go ahead and give a toast out to our sponsors?
At the forefront of the craft beer movement, Brewer Shirts was one of the first to create apparel that celebrates the art of brewing and the love of fine beer. Never too trendy, always comfortable, and offering affordable quality, they screen print their gear by hand in their studio using eco-friendly inks, materials, and processes. Visit their online store at brewershirts.com and use the coupon code TAPTHECRAFT2020 to receive 15% off full priced items.
Even though it's 2021.
Hey,
keep
look,
using
we
2020.
started the promo in 2020.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can find the beers and the links to the articles mentioned on the show in our show notes located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Chris, how can our listeners follow you? And yes, they can follow you on Twitter.
Only if I'm talking shit about FedEx. So you can never find me unless I'm trying to bash your organization on Twitter. Chris_Mackenzie82. FedEx was delaying one of my packages the other day. Or you can find me on Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. And of course, you guys can follow us and chat with us on everything social at Tap the Craft.
All right, it is last call. It's time to bring this show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening, and we ask you to please tell a friend. And of course,
Please
subscribe on all your favorite podcast listening apps. And of course, and as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.